So, Thanksgiving. Already a high-stakes holiday, right? You've got family tension, overcooked turkey, and at least one person pretending they're not passive-aggressively judging your life choices. But this one takes the whole pumpkin pie.
Hey viewers, welcome to the channel. We're just getting started and your support means a lot. If you enjoy these stories, please consider subscribing and help us reach our first 1,000 subscribers. Thanks for being here. Now back to the story.
Okay, so here's the setup. We're at Thanksgiving dinner. Standard stuff. Crammed into a dining room that's somehow 5 degrees too hot, even though it's literally snowing outside. There's food. There's that weird silence because everyone knows some kind of drama is coming, but no one knows when. Until my brother stands up. Full serious. Napkin folded on his plate. Clears his throat like he's about to give a best man speech or announce he's dying. And then he says this, and I quote, "We voted, and you're not family anymore. Like it's Survivor. Like I've been voted off the island. Tribal council, but make it suburban and deeply emotionally scarring." My fork literally stopped halfway to my mouth. Everyone froze. Even my cousin's baby blinked like, wait, what the actual hell just happened? And I just sat there. Like, okay, did I miss a memo? Did the family hold a shareholder meeting without me? So I look around, waiting for someone to laugh or go, haha, just kidding. But nah, dead serious. My mom's staring at the mashed potatoes like they betrayed her. My dad's doing that thing where he won't make eye contact, but also won't take a sip of wine because he's scared of what he'll say if he opens his mouth. And my brother? He looks pleased, like he just dropped a mic, like he's been rehearsing that line in the mirror for 3 weeks. You could just see it in his face. He thinks this is some epic moment of family leadership. So I'm like, sorry, what? Just to clarify, in case this was a weird attempt at humor. And he goes, "You've made things really difficult for everyone. We just felt like this was the best way to move forward." Oh, we. Interesting pronoun choice there. Who exactly is we? Turns out, it's the whole damn table. My brother, his wife, my parents, 2 of my aunts. Apparently, they'd all had a little group chat. Like it's some kind of family HOA, and I've been breaking the landscaping rules. But don't worry, it gets better. Because this man, this 38-year-old man in a polo shirt that still has a dry cleaning tag inside, pulls out a literal envelope. An envelope. Sets it on the table and says, "We wrote everything down. Just so there's no confusion." Sir, what? What is this? A formal declaration of emotional exile? Is there a wax seal? A crest? Should I sign it in blood? So I take the envelope. I open it, and inside is a list. A whole-ass printed list titled, "Reasons We're Setting Boundaries with My Name." Yeah, not, "We're concerned about your mental health." Not, "Here's where we feel hurt and want to work through things." Nope, just bullet points. You missed Grandma's birthday in 2019. You didn't help with the Thanksgiving dishes last year. You posted that meme about boomers on Facebook and Mom cried. And I'm like, okay. First of all, Grandma literally told me she didn't want visitors because of COVID. Second, I did help with the dishes, but apparently drying counts less than washing. And third, that meme was hilarious and objectively true. And the more I read it, the more I realized this wasn't about me doing anything wrong. It was about me not playing the part they wanted anymore. Not being the emotional janitor. Not being the one who always folded first. And I just started laughing. Like really laughing. Which, not gonna lie, made them all super uncomfortable. Because they were expecting a meltdown. Maybe some tears. Maybe me begging to stay in the family. But I didn't give them that. Instead, I reached under the table and pulled out my own little surprise. A binder. Yup, I came prepared. Had a whole folder labeled receipts. Because this wasn't my first rodeo. I'd seen the red flags, and I knew exactly where this dinner was headed. So I slide the binder across the table and go, "Cool. Since we're airing things out, here's everything I've ever done for this family in the last 10 years. And they look at me like I'm crazy. But my sister-in-law opens it and starts flipping through pages. Paid off my brother's credit card? Check. Covered the deposit when my cousin got evicted? Check. Planned 3 baby showers, 5 birthday parties, and made a spreadsheet for Grandpa's funeral? Check, check, and check. Meanwhile, my mom looks like she's going to pass out. My dad suddenly finds his wine glass. My brother starts sputtering something about family isn't about keeping score, which is rich coming from the man who just gave me a literal bullet point list of why I'm getting cut off. So I'm like, right? Family isn't about keeping score, unless you're the ones doing it. And then I hit them with the final page. The part where I say, "You want to talk about boundaries? Let's talk about the time mom went through my phone while I was asleep. Or the time dad told my ex I was mentally unstable because I didn't go to church anymore." Silence. Nobody moves. Nobody breathes. And then my aunt, the one who always wears too much perfume and thinks she's the family therapist, goes, "I think we need to pray." I swear, I almost choked on a dinner roll. I'm like, no, what y'all need is therapy. Actual therapy. Like paid professionals. Not a prayer circle and a group chat. And then I stood up, tucked the binder back into my bag. And I left. Didn't say goodbye. Didn't look back. Just walked out of that house like I was escaping a cult. Got in my car. Turned on the seat heater. Drove straight to my friend Jasmine's place where she had wine, pie, and a Welcome to the Land of No Contact playlist queued up on Spotify. And that was probably the first real Thanksgiving I'd had in years. So yeah, I leave Thanksgiving dinner like I'm walking out of a courtroom after winning a case I didn't even know I was on trial for. Not guilty on all counts, baby. Except maybe the crime of not enabling my family's collective delusion anymore. Jasmine opens the door before I can even knock. She's got that face, the one that says, "I know you're emotionally fried, but also I have snacks, and I'm not going to ask questions until you're ready." True friend behavior. I plop down on her couch. Not even dramatic, just deflated. Like a balloon 2 days after a party. All lopsided and vaguely sticky. And she just hands me a blanket, a glass of wine, and puts on some dumb baking competition show where everyone has to make realistic cake versions of animals or something. Perfect emotional background noise. 10 out of 10 coping environment. After a few minutes, I finally say, "They literally voted me out of the family." And she, without missing a beat, goes, "So like Survivor, passive-aggressive edition?" I laughed. I needed that laugh. Because until then, it still didn't feel real. Like part of me thought maybe I imagined it. Maybe I misheard. But no, they had a list. They had an envelope. They had a plan. And that's when the emotional hangover hits. Because okay, sure, I held it together in the moment. I made my points. I left with my dignity intact. But underneath all of that, yeah, it hurt. Bad. Because these people weren't just relatives. They were supposed to be my safety net. My roots. The people who knew me before I knew myself. And instead of love or understanding, I got a vote. A weird, sanitized betrayal delivered with green bean casserole and cranberry sauce. So Jasmine and I stay up late talking. And I realize how much I've been performing for them. Like I was playing a role I didn't even audition for. The good daughter. The responsible one. The fixer. And the second I stepped out of line, boom, cut from the cast. And here's the thing that really messes me up. They wanted me to react. They wanted the drama, the guilt, the meltdown. Because then they could feel justified. They could say, "See, this is why we had to cut her off. She's unstable." But I didn't give them that. I gave them cold facts and a calm exit. And I think that rattled them more than anything. Anyway, I crash on Jasmine's couch, and the next day I wake up to a barrage of texts. Like they were waiting for a weak moment. "We didn't want it to be this way. This is for your own good. Maybe take some time to reflect." Oh, and my personal favorite. "This doesn't mean we don't love you. I'm sorry. You staged a family mutiny and served it up between stuffing and apple pie. And now we're throwing around the L word like this is a rom-com with a bad third act? No. Just no." So I respond with exactly one sentence. "Your actions don't reflect love. They reflect control." And I left it at that. Which, of course, kicked off another round of emotional manipulation. My mom started sending Bible verses. My dad tried the whole, "This is tearing us apart" routine. And my brother? He doubled down with a screenshot of the list and the comment, "These are still valid points." Okay, Greg, let me break something down for you real quick. If you have to print your reasons for cutting someone out, you've already lost the moral high ground. This isn't HR. You're not doing annual performance reviews. This is supposed to be family. Anyway, that weekend I made a playlist. Not a sad one. Not an angry one. A freedom one. Songs that made me feel like myself again. Like me, without the performance. And I cleaned my apartment like I was purging a haunted house. Burned a candle. Blocked some numbers. It felt like shedding a layer of skin that didn't fit anymore. And that's when the silence hit. Because once you stop responding to the drama, Once you step outside the roles they've given you, the noise dies down, and the silence is weirdly loud. Like, I didn't realize how much mental space they took up until it was quiet in my own head for the first time in years. And I had to sit with that, with the grief of losing people who were technically still alive, with the realization that sometimes family doesn't mean safe. Sometimes it just means the people who know where to aim when they want to hurt you. And yeah, that's bleak, but it's also honest. So what did I do next? Therapy. Duh. I walked into my therapist's office like, "You're going to need snacks and possibly an emotional support animal," because I brought baggage. And she just smiled like, "Cool, let's unpack." And over the next few sessions, we did. I told her about the list, about the binder, about how I used to be the one who diffused every argument, smoothed every tension, apologized even when I wasn't wrong. And she said something that stuck with me. "You were never loved unconditionally. You were accepted under specific terms." Oof, that hit like a truck. Because it's true. As long as I was useful, agreeable, small, I was family. The second I grew boundaries, poof, out of the club. So I started redefining the word family for myself. Started looking at the people who'd shown up for me without agenda. The friends who let me cry on their couches, who didn't need me to earn my place. And that's when I realized I wasn't grieving them. I was grieving the version of them I'd created in my head. The one I wanted them to be. The one they never were. And that's freedom. So a few weeks go by. No contact. No drama. Just me, my plants, my playlist, and a whole lot of personal growth. It's quiet. A little lonely sometimes, yeah, but also stable. Peaceful. Like I'm finally living in a house where the smoke alarm isn't constantly chirping, and I'm not pretending it's fine. And then it happens. I get a wedding invite. Mailed. Handwritten address. Fancy calligraphy. Like we're living in a Jane Austen adaptation with Bluetooth. It's from my cousin Chelsea, the one who, for some reason, was always Switzerland during family drama. Neutral. Beautiful. Owns a dog with its own Instagram account. The invitation says, "You are warmly invited to celebrate the wedding of Chelsea and Mark." There's a little note added at the bottom, in her handwriting. "I know things are weird, but I want you there. No expectations. No drama. Just love." And look, my first reaction? Suspicion. Like, is this a trap? Is this where they try to ambush me with forgiveness, like some culty intervention where they cry, and I'm supposed to hug everyone and forget I got literally voted off the island? But something about Chelsea's note felt sincere. And also, I kinda needed to wear a nice dress again. It had been a minute. So I RSVP'd yes. And listen, this is important. I didn't go for them. I went for me. I went to prove to myself that I could walk back into that room, into the mouth of that emotional volcano, and not melt down or turn to ash. I show up, dress pressed, makeup on point, looking like I've thrived in exile. Which I have, to be honest. You don't know how much peace changes your posture until you walk into a room full of people who expected you to fall apart, and instead you're glowing like a renaissance, painting with boundary-setting powers. The ceremony is cute. Chelsea cries. Mark cries. Their dog wears a tuxedo. I clap. I drink a champagne. I avoid eye contact with my brother like we're exes who ended on bad terms and now pretend the other is a coat rack. Eventually, there's a moment. He comes over. Alone. No clipboard, no envelope, no curated list of my personality flaws. Just him. And a weird sort of half-apology face. You know the one, where it's not quite regret, but not quite smug either. More like, I'm trying to be the bigger person, but I'm still deeply committed to not admitting I was wrong. He says, "You look good." I say, "Thanks. Freedom suits me." And sip my drink like I'm in a telenovela, and this is the climactic toast. Then he says, "I didn't want things to go down like that." And I go, "Then maybe don't orchestrate a family vote with supporting documentation?" Look, I wasn't trying to start something, but I also wasn't about to let him rewrite history like I was the one who made it weird. I've spent too long minimizing myself so other people feel comfortable. He sighs, that big, performative sigh that says, "I'm about to say something I think is profound, but is actually just emotionally manipulative. You were changing. It scared us. You were pulling away." And I look at him, really look at him, and I go, "I wasn't pulling away. I was growing. You all just stayed the same." Mic drop. And you know what? He didn't argue. He just nodded, kind of awkwardly, and walked away. because there's nothing left to say when someone finally sees you clearly and you don't flinch. I wasn't the villain. I wasn't the rebel. I was just done being small for people who couldn't handle my full size. I stayed for the cake, obviously. Chocolate ganache. Worth every calorie. I danced with Chelsea. I complimented the flower arrangements. And then I left. No dramatic exits. No final confrontations. Just me, walking out into the night whole. Now here's the part that surprised me. The next morning, I get a text from my aunt. The one who hadn't said a word during the incident. The one who's always been kind of background noise in the family. She writes, "I watched how you handled yourself last night. I'm sorry for how we all treated you. You didn't deserve that." And I just sat there rereading it stunned. Because no one had said that. Not once. Not even close. And it made me realize something. Even when it feels like everyone's against you, someone's always watching. Someone sees you. And maybe they're too scared or too entangled to speak up at the time. But eventually, truth makes noise. Since then, a few other family members have trickled in. Quiet texts. Soft apologies. Little cracks in the armor. And I don't need them to grovel. I don't need a parade. I just need honesty. Accountability. Effort. Some of them will never change. I know that now. And I've stopped hoping they will. But that doesn't mean I have to stay in that toxic orbit. I've built something better. Friendships that feel like chosen family. Peace that doesn't come with conditions. A sense of self that isn't dependent on who invites me to dinner. And this year, I spent Thanksgiving with Jasmine. We made our own food, watched movies in pajamas, and toasted to new traditions. No drama. No votes. Just love. So if you're out there, wondering if it's worth walking away from the people who hurt you, even if they share your blood, let me be the one to say it. Yes, it's worth it, because family isn't who you're born to. It's who shows up when you need them, who doesn't make you prove your worth every time you set a boundary, who doesn't hand you an envelope full of reasons why you're not enough. You get to define your circle. And mine's finally safe.